What's going on, everyone? We're back again. Back
New
again.
show, new day.
Yeah. Welcome to another new show, 5 minutes
Oh.
apart from the last new show that we've just done. We was going to go and watch the semi-finals, but David Ornstein has other plans, and he's just announced that Marseille have reached an agreement with Manchester United to sign Mason Greenwood for 31.6 million euros. Now, they're saying Greenwood still a couple of personal terms he needs to agree, but from all the reports, he's keen on the move. He preferred that over a move to Italy, and yeah, apparently De Zerbi's a big fan of him as well, and there's been some kind of weird quotes about that. But it feels like the Mason Greenwood saga is officially over, and Sam, we never ever have to speak about him again. That's a positive, right?
Yeah, I think we did a show. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Probably.
It bleeds together. And
Yeah.
I remember saying if I never have to talk about this story again, it'd be a good day. And
Yeah.
it looks like like you said, we never have to talk about this story again because
Yeah.
it's done. They've agreed a fee, agreed a deal. Apparently, he was favouring Marseille. He turned down Lazio. He seems like this is the deal he wants to do. He's gone. I never have to do a graphic of him again. We'd have to talk about him on the show again. I don't have to deal with dickheads in comments going, "You should be forgiven," and all that sort of stuff. It's done. It's over.
Or writing
Good.
Ineos letters about
Yeah,
fucking why he
good.
should stay.
Yeah, it's a
Just give
good.
it over.
It seems like obviously the fee is not amazing, but I think with the baggage that comes with him and the potential fallout that comes with him,
Yeah.
you have to take what you can get. I believe they've not revealed if there's a sell on or anything like that, have they? Because that was
So
rumored today.
we'll get into that in a moment. Yeah, we'll get into that in a
So
moment.
if he does go for a massive fee from Marseille to say another big club, then at least we'll recoup something on top of that
Yeah.
as well, which would be great for United as well.
Yeah. Shreyas, it does say that United will earn a large portion of any future sale by Marseille, so we're probably looking around 40%, I'm guessing, from the reports. Very smart to include that. And do you expect him to do really well in France?
What followed
Again,
was a sequence of
I
events.
think the jury is out. I think he's had a relatively decent season at Getafe, and I would still say I think Ligue 1 is a very smart choice for him because I've seen players like Lacazette and even in the later stages of their career right now, they're still in like the top 3 when it comes to the golden boot. They still end up getting like 20-25 goals a season. So I think for him to move into this sort of a league could help his confidence a lot. I would say is a much simpler league in comparison to Serie A, in comparison to La Liga and the Premier League as well. So for him to actually start fresh somewhere, I think it's a very good choice to actually move to to League and have a couple of decent stints at Marseille, and probably then if things do work out for him, get a bigger move and just rebrand himself in France.
I mean, Sam, we've spoken about in terms of what he's going to go on to be and what he's going to go do and all that kind of potential stuff. But just in terms of for Ineos, you would think them coming in, that was one of their number one priorities to get this player off the books. 2, it's fantastic in terms of pure profit, what you're going to get, wage and the fee that they get for him. That's going to open up other deals potentially, for Euro or Branthwaite or whoever it is. But not even just that, to kind of sprinkle it on top. Morally, for the club, the place that we're in at the minute, you're trying to have this good vibe around the club, aren't you? You're trying to get, look at what Ineos are doing. The last thing they want to do is right, we're going to integrate this player back in who's a bit, I'm not a bit of a bad egg, but yeah, obviously a bad egg. Yeah. That's important morally, right?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of really bad sort of news coming out regarding the women's team that's going on at United in a minute. They got a brand new facility built and they've then been moved out for the men's, so the men's facility can be revamped into porta cabins or possibly down St. George's Park. A lot of top players have left the United women's team. Mary Earps has gone and stuff like that. So the women's team's taken quite a negative sort of battering in a minute under the Ineos ownership, right or wrongly, because the men's team drives the revenue, etc. So I know people are upset and they have a right to be upset, but this is the way Ineos handle it. To then bring back Mason Greenwood, it would be another slap in the face to not only the women's team, but the fans, people who were protesting against it, people who were the backlash for the reason why they didn't bring it back in the first place and he went on loan to Getafe. It'd be slap in the face. And I think Ineos want to start off on the best foot and all the goodwill that they've built up so far with the transfers, with the appointments of Dan Ashworth, etc. they kind of just chuck all that in the bin by bringing him back. So I think, like you said, number one priorities were Sancho out and Greenwood out, and they seem to have done the first one, and they've got him out the door. Next one would be Sancho. So glad to see it. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad it don't have to be covered and done anymore. I'm sure there'll be Twitter accounts going, "Oh, we never should have sold him, blah, blah. I'm now going to go support Marseille." Good. Fuck off. Go support them. I don't care. I'm glad it's done and we don't have to deal with it anymore and we don't have to talk about it, which is fantastic. But yeah, good for United. Good press for us. No more scrutiny about it. All good news. All good news.
Yeah. I thought what De Zerbi said about him was interesting, Shreyas. He got asked, I was just trying to find the quote then, but I can't find it anywhere. I got asked about the player and himself, and he was like, look, we'll give him a bit of a bollocking behind closed doors, but in the open and in the media, in the public eye, I'll absolutely protect him. I'll treat him like my sons and my brothers and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just De Zerbi at Marseille, one. Was that a bit of a surprise to you? I know it's not, directly Mason Greenwood related, but one, was that a surprise to you? And two, do you think he will go there and be the main striker, the big kind of pinnacle signing? And how do you think maybe the French fans might react to that? Because there might be some Marseille fans who don't want him as well.
Yeah, once again, I think going into that club, I think they've got Aubameyang right now, or maybe not. I'm not quite sure.
Was he like 50 though? He's got to be fucking getting on, hasn't
he? They needed someone to actually, a young striker actually in there. I think if he moves, he'll bring a lot of attention to Marseille. Whether it will be good for them or bad for them, only time will tell. But he will bring a lot of attention and a lot of eyeballs to Marseille. And as far as De Zerbi to Marseille is concerned, I was personally quite shocked because I actually thought that, with the opportunities that were opening up across Europe at the topmost clubs that on top of that, you've got Bayern Munich, you've got the likes of Napoli, you've got AC Milan, you've got N number of clubs who are actually, in the hunt for actually getting a new manager in. And from all the options that were out on the table, managers like Conte, then you've got Vincent Kompany and all these Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. He would still be a much better option than a couple of those managers to actually, go into a club and do a job. So after, doing what he did at Brighton, in the couple of seasons that he's had, Marseille was, I would say, a very different choice. Because I think even, when the season ended and it was announced that he'll be leaving Brighton, people thought maybe it is United, maybe it is Chelsea. People were actually even thinking that, maybe Barcelona or Bayern Munich are going to come calling for De Zerbi. But to being linked to those clubs and actually moving to a club like Marseille, maybe he has a different sort of thought process or whatever it is. But I just thought maybe he'd move to a much more prominent club in comparison to Marseille.
Yeah, I'd love to hear everyone's opinion on this, and obviously don't be fucking idiots about it and start typing ridiculous stuff that we're just not going to read out. But do get your opinions on the situation in terms of him leaving. Maybe what he did wanted to stay, and that's absolutely fine. If you want to put that, that's your opinion. But when it starts getting a bit toxic and you start being idiotic about it, then that's when it's yeah. But let us know your opinion in the comments. If you was to flip the situation on its head, Sam, just in your personal opinion, let's say you're a fan of Marseille, you see this signing coming in now, how would that make you feel as a football fan?
I'd be annoyed, I think, but obviously, I think not to be xenophobic in a way, but I think it tends to be in other countries. Italy and Spain tend to be an example of like racism that just seems to go unchecked. We've seen the amount of sort of abuse that Vinny Jr. has suffered with Real Madrid, sometimes by his own fans. Lukaku got booked for pointing out a bunch of racist abuse by fan so the fan culture seems very much about 10, 20 years behind the UK because you don't really see that anymore. There's bits and moments in it in the UK, but not as like blatant as like 20,000 fans basically doing monkey chants and stuff. So I think the culture is slightly behind the times. Personally, as a Marseille fan, I would be annoyed and I'd be furious, but maybe fan culture is different out there. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they're excited at the fact that they're getting an exciting, very talented young footballer, and they're just like, oh, he wasn't convicted, blah, 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 and they just sort of brush it under the carpet. I kind of think that's how they're going to deal with it. I don't see much fan backlash. I know it's only just come out, but I don't imagine there'll be much fan backlash, to be honest with you.
No.
I know there was a couple of Juventus fans. Apparently, they didn't know the full extent of what he had done. And when they found it out, they started like a protest or a sort of petition to not have him at the club. I saw that, but I don't see that being the case at Marseille. But I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
It just depends on, if he's successful at the club, a lot of those things will instantly die out. If he goes there and actually has a tough time, once again, these things will come to the media and will be once again be broadcasted at a top level at France.
I think, again, this is just my opinion. I think Marseille are looking at it and they're like, look, is it worth the potential little bits of backlash that we're going to get to bring in a kid who's probably going to smash it in France? Like, you look at players that have gone there, like, I always reference this and people are probably sick of it, but you look at Lacazette, for example, who's been there, scored 28 goals. You get a young prodigy like Mason Greenwood there, who's, did relatively well at Getafe, who's
Jonathan David
not a great team.
As well.
Jonathan David as well, still rough raw on the edges. I would go as far to say I think he will smash it there, and I think 20 plus goals. So Marseille are probably looking at it and they're saying, 26 mil rising to 31, whatever it is. It's worth taking the hit on it. That, in my opinion, that's what they'll be thinking.
The scrutiny,
if he becomes a top goal scorer.
The scrutiny, I feel like I offend fans of other clubs if they do watch this channel. But when I say they're not as big of a club as Man United are, which, again, I'm sure Marseille's got its history and a glorious history.
Of course,
blah, blah, I'm sure. Yeah. But in terms of, media scrutiny and in terms of global reach, United are untouched. There's probably Madrid and Barca are probably the only clubs that come close to the sort of amount of scrutiny that goes on. Yeah. And I think it'll be so much less in Marseille. It'd be so small and the scrutiny and stuff, and they won't be constantly because anytime you mention him in the British press, the transcripts of the tape comes out, the audio comes back out, the pictures and stuff. It's just fucking non-stop. And then there's people jumping in going, he should be forgiven, he still would have, blah, blah. And it's just a non-stop brawl for all shite on the internet. Whereas if it goes to Marseille, I don't see it being that big of a deal. I don't see it flaring up as it does here. So I think the less scrutiny as well, probably better for them as well. If he went to a club like Juve or someone like that.
It's weird, isn't it, Shreyas? Because there was a lot of clubs interested. It weren't just one or two. There was two unnamed clubs in the Premier League who we still don't know who it is to this day. There was clubs in Spain who were interested. Yeah. There was Juventus. There was clubs in Turkey. There was clubs in Saudi. Marseille aren't the only ones who were we'll take a punt on this. There was quite a few other ones, which is, I don't know, is that, and it's not concerning, but is that kind of a stance of where some football teams are morally or ethically, they're willing to, go for this player and bring him in just to get 20 plus goals a season? Does that not worry you a little bit?
I think with it, I would say to a certain point with Italian clubs, I'm not that surprised because I've seen it happen a lot of times in Italy with players, and having these clubs are ready to take hits for their players, especially if they have those players actually have a chance of actually succeeding at the club. Like, for example, Greenwood would have moved to a Juve or Napoli, ended up getting 25 goals this season. Italian clubs are ready to take the hit for their players. French clubs, I'm a bit surprised, and I would say certain Spanish clubs I'm surprised as well, because what I've seen, especially with Spanish clubs, is they don't like unwanted media. They genuinely don't like unwanted media. There are already a lot of eyeballs at those clubs, especially ones that are playing at the top level, and they don't want unwanted attention, especially from this factor. And I would say even in Greenwood's time during at Getafe, the club was scrutinized a lot in Spain, not just by the fans, not just by the media, but even by opposition clubs. When they played basketball.
Bellingham as well.
Yeah, Bellingham. Yeah. A lot of these clubs and a lot of these opposition fans actually called him out. So if this is happening in Spain, and like you mentioned, there were two unnamed Premier League clubs. If he had moved to a Premier League club, it would have been,
about the away fans, the away games as well. Like if he did stay at United,
non-stop.
And then that itself brings a thing on it. And then the manager getting asked about it after every single game. What's his score? Are you
His
going to give him a contract
teammates.
extension?
His teammates
Yeah,
as
his
well.
teammates being asked about him, like, oh, how do you feel about even little things that you know what journalists are like? They're like, oh, how do you feel about Mason scoring today? Or are you happy to assist him? Or like, like little things like that. You know what journalists are like in England. So I think in just a general consensus, we're happy it's done and we don't have to fucking talk about the situation again. I'm going to go into the comments. I'm just going to read a couple out and then we're going to end the show on Pellistri, Shreyas. I'm going to ask you about him. Just to get your opinion on that. Anonymous is in the chat. Kira's saying, what the fuck as well. I know, what the fuck. We also thought we was going to go watch the game. Ornstein had other plans. Channel is the priority. We're here to discuss with you guys. Anonymous Mango, have you seen Lenny Yoro's tweet and what do you make of it? Right. This isn't directly back to you, Mango. It's a fake account. It's not real. So, yeah, it's absolute bullshit. Akio P says, Greenwood and Sancho leaving could make way for one more attacker after Xerxes, Tony, DCL are of interest, apparently. From what I've read, I think the funds from Greenwood are going towards either Branthwaite or Yoro, from what I've read. So, yeah. Septima Lion says, if it's Tony DCL, give me Tony. I think, that's like asking, do you want Marmite on your bread or jam? It's jam it all day, isn't it?
Do you want me to spit on your bread or do you want a nice slice of jam? Like, which one do you want?
Yeah, well, yeah, a bit more graphic, but interesting tweet from Lenny Yoro. No, I'm not reading that yet. Lenny Yoro stuff out. Sorry. Dave Lewis, big up Dave, saying it's up to Yoro if he comes. By all accounts, he prefers Madrid, but I don't think Madrid necessarily want to pay what we have agreed with the club. They definitely don't want to pay anywhere near that. Reese Holland saying, end of the day, we've washed our hands with him. We've dealt with it swiftly and brilliantly, in my opinion. Yep. If it was previous ownership, we would have waited all summer. Bang. There's the nail, Reese. Yeah. There's the hammer. Bang. On the head.
I'm going to pin that. Let's pin that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, he's right, because you remember under, is it Arnold? He made 2 videos.
Arnold and Murdoch.
He made 2 videos, one if he was leaving and one if he was staying, and then they briefed Ten Hag how to answer questions and all. It was such a fucking shit show, and then they got exposed by, was it Adam Crafton, the Athletic? He wrote the thing, and they just backpedaled so fucking quickly. It's nice to see Ineos going, no, we're not dealing with this shit. They had a meeting with him apparently on Monday. Carrington basically said, you can't stay here. And now they found the club within 2 days, and he's gone. And it's like, that's how you do it. That's how you operate.
Yeah. Sorry, Mango's just put it was referring to Lenny's real account. Apologies, people. Apologies, yeah. He tweeted about the fake tweet. It's going here, there, left and everywhere. Manchester United, the biggest club on planet Earth, hated, adored, never ignored. Yes, that's the Vuganator. What a name that is, by the way. If you are new to the channel, please do smash that like, and if you're happy about Mason Greenwood leaving, and subscribe if you are new. Seeing loads of new names in the chat. So yeah, if you love football content, you like daily lives, transfer stuff, obviously when football games are back on, previews and reviews and loads of stuff. We do loads of stuff. So yeah.
Even after we've continuously done an hour-long news show and we're live 5 minutes later because of shit.
Yeah, this isn't what we do all the time. We're just not just live all day on a regular basis, just like show after show after show, just like fucking 12 shows a day. Would you imagine? God. Oh my God. So the sell-on clause for Greenwood has been announced 50% apparently. So if you think he kills it in France, does really well there, and Marseille decide to move him on, you probably looking about 40 million there, 50 million, plus the 30 million fee that we've got at a minute. So I think very smart including that clause, in my humble opinion. Right, Shreyas, let's end on this then, because we also had, Greenwood wasn't the only news before we went off. There was other news, but again, we'll just go on to it. So, Facundo Pellistri is seeking a move away from Manchester United this summer, whether that is on loan or permanent. How do you feel about this, Shreyas?
Yeah, it's going to be a loan move, from what I've heard.
For what you for British.
Are you ITK? Are you ITK, Shreyas?
ITK. Yeah, in the know.
I mean, he's having a decent season with Uruguay again. At the Copa America, might end up winning the trophy, and if he gets a good move away from the club, I think it's better, because once again, we are way too oversaturated in that winger department. You've got Ahmad, you've got Anthony, you've got the likes of Garnacho and Rashford. So that's 4 wingers that you've already got at the club. If Anthony wasn't at the club, I would have then said that, we shouldn't really let go of him, because he's a right-sided winger and can bring a lot more to the table than what Anthony does. But because Anthony is present, and I know even if he won't be starting games, he would still be used in a certain capacity because Ten Hag is the manager. I think it's better to actually offload Pellistri if it is possible, whether it's a loan move, whether it's a permanent move away. I think that is something which will be unraveled later. But I think at least, clearing up some space in, on that bench and in that winger department is the right way to go, because we've already got a like genuinely a lot of players in that department, and we need, if certain players go, then only you can bring in fresh faces.
It's saturated, isn't it, Sam? When you look at it, you think Greenwood's going now, technically a right winger / striker.
Yeah.
They're looking to sell Jadon Sancho, Pellistri going as well. That is a really saturated area that they need to shift bodies from, innit?
Yeah, we cut sort of, if you check out our video before this, we touched on Ahmad and his new deal and all that sort of stuff. So obviously you got Garnacho, who arguably played his best football on that right hand side. I know he's a left winger and stuff, but I think he played a lot on the right, and he was.
You see that guy, by the way, tried to convince on Instagram that he was never good on the right. I was like, what? Have you watched him all season?
What games is he watching?
He was like, when did he ever play good? I was like, literally, the first game he played on the right wing against Aston Villa, he scored 2 goals and he was really good. And everyone was like, oh, maybe you should. Sorry,
idiots on social media commentate like. Anyway.
Oh, honestly.
Yeah, so Ahmad is apparently going to get a new deal, and we've turned down a bid. He's a very important player, so obviously he's going to think. Anthony's probably not going to be sold this summer. I'd like him to be. We all would, but he's probably not going to be. Let's be honest. So he's probably going to get game time there. You got Garnacho who could play there. Mason Mount could play out there. Apparently Xerxes could play across that front line, so you might see him there. So like you said, there's so much people filling up that one spot. It makes sense if you're getting rid of the likes of Mason Greenwood, Sancho. Pellistri's probably not going to get game time, and I think he deserves to be playing first team football somewhere because he's got something. He's a decent player, probably just not United standard, which is a shame, but he's still a good player.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think we're happy about this. The moving on of players. I think it's way too. Even Forson, I haven't even spoke about him either. Obviously, he moved on, didn't he? So they're getting rid of quite a few players in them areas and kind of, open up competition in that sense. Just to end, right, this stuff, I don't know if you guys have seen it, about some guy in Muppeteers Discord. Not to be that guy, but according to the guys at the ATC server on Muppeteers Discord, a flight from Farnborough to Lille appeared from nowhere just 2 hours ago. What the fuck does that even mean? Am I just... Is that something to do with Euro, or...
Well, I saw a story, I think I put it in the chat. It was that Sam C reports who I think works for United Stand.
Yeah.
He said
he's quite good, to be fair.
Yeah, he said the agency that represents Euro was at Carrington today, and the reason they know that is because they had their logo on the cars and on the bags and stuff like that. So apparently, his agency, obviously they represent other players as well, so it may not be Euro, but they were at Carrington today. A bunch of other agents were at Carrington as well, apparently. So maybe there's something in it, or maybe it's just complete bollocks that somebody's made up. I don't know.
Interesting, isn't it? And then I'll just read the last few comments, sorry, before we go. Greenwood to PSG in 2 years for 80 million, bookmark this. I could 100% see that. Yeah, for sure. Reece saying, I think Pellistri does need first team football. Can see him doing bits for Leicester or Everton even. Pellistri to Everton for a discount for Bran Flakes. Do Everton even want Pellistri? I don't know.
Over Dwight McNeil. He's never playing him over Dwight McNeil.
Yeah.
And Kira's saying Pellistri has a bright future. He could do well in the German or Spanish league with his skill set. Yeah. Look, I think we would all say it's probably time for him to move on. It hasn't worked at United so far. Yeah. But he'll probably be successful somewhere, if he goes to Spain or wherever it is. I think he'd probably have a good career. Absolutely. Not everyone makes it United, but people still have fantastic careers. So, yeah, it is what it is. Right. I swear to God,
we are going now. This time.
We're going. If something massive gets announced when we go off now, something's going on. I don't know what it is. But we are actually going to go. If something breaks if it's not within the next minute, then we'll go live. But yeah, just stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and me, Sam, and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.
Which hopefully is not in 5 minutes.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And the chat, by the way, Delict, here we go. Fuck off. Don't start it. Don't start it with me. Kira, I'm watching you. I'm fucking watching you. But yeah.
Let's see what happens.